decision to take a stance on something that he believed in. He did that without knowing what type of backlash he was going to get, how popular it was going to be with the population or whatever, but he stood true to what he believed in, and he did something very noble. He made a silent protest by taking a stance, by kneeling down during the national anthem. Now, you guys think about it. Colin is in a high-profile position. You know, people are following him. They're looking at him. So I believe that decision was tough for him. And as I relate that back down to Destiny Talk Live, that's why I'm here talking to you today, because I know some of you guys can relate to this just like I do, that we have made decisions in our life that weren't so popular with everyone. And in the process of deciding if we were going to do something or not, we didn't know what type of response we were going to get from the people, from our family, from our friends, or whatever. But we stood by what we believed in and made those decisions. And the backlash that we got, we weren't expecting some of it. Some of it was praise, some of it was not. So I know a lot of you feel what Colin is feeling right now. But I like Colin because his protest is silent. You know, everybody else is talking about what they're going to do. We're going to block the NFL. We're going to do all of this other stuff. But Colin hasn't said a word. He's just been moving along and quietly letting everything else speak for him. You know, he made the first step, and now everyone else is jumping on. And that's kind of like with Destiny Talk Live. We want this show to be a judgment-free zone where we respect, appreciate, and value everyone's opinion. We want to make it sure that when you call in or you talk or join in our conversation, that we're going to value what you have to say. We're going to respect you. And that's what I want you guys to get out of this show. And as we move forward in Destiny Talk Live, I want you guys to understand that it is not here to place judgment. Like I said, it's a judgment-free zone. So if we go back and think about all the stuff that's happening out there in the news, you look at Ezekiel Elliott and all the stuff that's going on, and let me tell you, I'm a diehard Cowboy fan. I hear it all. I've heard it all from everybody. You know, they're talking about he ain't playing, he got 10 games missing. It's okay. He owned up to some of the things that he's done. I think it's steep punishment for 6 games because of something he did not do, but he did do some other things. And a part of what Destiny Talk is about is to help you come to grips with situations or deal with consequences of your actions. We want to be able to be that blueprint for you, share our experiences, and let you know how we went through stuff. So all of this stuff that's going on, I want you guys to know we're here for you. Now, I want you to stay tuned. We still have A Man's Worth that's coming up. Ladies, don't go anywhere. We got Superwoman for you. I'm going to introduce my guest, and you are on Destiny Talk Live with Cherry G. I'm your host.
Sensation Network. Radio, not dumbed down.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
Your health is at stake. Diabetes, gout, high blood pressure, inflammation, and joint pain, even weight loss. It's time to end your battle. The Abundant Life Movement is dedicated to the building of generational health by transforming your water with the power of alkaline to improve hydration and fight against acidic and unhealthy conditions in the body. Here's a testimonial from Linda Rogers Brown and Pamela McMillan.
2011, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had no pain and no symptoms associated with that illness. It's a silent killer. I was introduced to Extreme X2O alkaline water, and within 2 days of drinking it, I was off all my pain medicine, and now we're 6 years strong, no chemo, no radiation, no cancer.
I am a 3-time cancer survivor. I was born with thyroid cancer. By being on the alkaline products allowed me to be able to cope currently with colon cancer. Now I'm able to function and be more mobile within 3 days of being on the product.
Extreme X2O, when the water you're drinking is damaging your health. Extreme X2O. For more info, AbundantLifeMovement.com or call 910-527-2260.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. he's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Y'all need anything else?
Sensation Station Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. Again, coming to you every Thursday at 1 p.m. on the Sensation Station. Just before the break, I told you we had a show coming up. We're going to be talking about a man's worth. But before we get started, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest to you today. Today, I have Miss Tanika Copeland-Smith that's here with me. Tanika, why don't you go ahead and give them a little brief of who you are and introduce yourself to them and why you're on Destiny Talk Live today.
Cherry, first I want to say thank you for having me. I love to come out and support my friends. And my name is Tanika Ty Copeland. For those of you who don't know me, I am a serial entrepreneur, mother, and wife. My business is Family Life Legacy. I help families build their legacy through credit, real estate, and or insurance products. So just building a family's net worth and teaching people about wealth.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here with me. And our other guest today who's going to help me facilitate the man's worth is Dion, a.k.a. D Blast. Can you give them a quick shout out for me, please?
How you doing? I'm glad to be here. Dion Blasting Game, a.k.a. D Blast. I'm a government worker, but I'm also here to support my friend Cherry, and we're going to talk about relationships, and we're going to also learn from you guys, so let's get it going.
All right, guys, this is where you can call in and or text. It is at 678-613-5857. If you're driving, please pull over. Do not drive and text. If you want to type your questions in, you can do that on Facebook Live, or you can log in to www.ssnatl.com. All right, let's get started on this. You know, at the beginning, I said I wanted to talk about a man's worth. And I want to share an article about a young lady that wrote. Her name is Diane Sears, and her article was about why men are important. And a part of the article, she said that sons need their fathers to help them navigate from being a boy to a man. Now, you know, I have some women out there that are single mothers and that have sons and that have raised them, like myself, that say, I don't need a man to teach my son anything. I can teach them everything. Well, I'm going to be one of those women to say to you guys that although I'm a single mother and I did raise my son, I couldn't teach him how to be a man. I could teach him how to treat a woman, but I could not teach him how to be a man. Dion, when you hear that kind of stuff come out for women, you being a man, how does that make you feel? Or tell me your thoughts about that.
Well, I think a lot of people or a lot of women feel that way is because they are forced to be the man. The men aren't stepping up doing what they should do, so a woman has to take the role of a mother, wife. But the man is important because women by nature have certain characteristics that are separate from men's. And when a man isn't there, there are things that are missing from the child's life that he needs. And when he doesn't get that thing, we have situations like we have now where, you know, a lot of guys now, they kind of act like women because they're kind of being brought up by women. So they're not responsible. Their mom is still washing their clothes, still doing things for them that they should be doing for themselves. So in my opinion, it's very important for a man to be in a son's life. Okay, that's very interesting. It's actually a loaded statement because, you know, you do have people out there saying, well, just because my son is raised by me, he's not feminine. Like I tell you guys, I did do, now my son's not, he doesn't respond or act in a feminine way. He is a boy, but not to put anything to anybody who has a different lifestyle. That's not what we're doing here. We're not pointing anything out. I want to make sure we put that out there. But I did a lot of stuff for my son, still washed his clothes and did everything, but I held him accountable for who he is as a person. Tanika, what do you think about that?
Okay. Well, Cherry, let me say this. I know that a man is needed and necessary in the household, especially when you have children, not just a boy, but girls as well. But since we're talking about boys and men, it's important. However, there can be some issues if that man wasn't raised properly in a household to where, and I'm not talking about him coming from a single parent household. I've seen men who've come from households where there was both parents available to them, but that man still didn't get the things that he needed to receive from a man. So I've always felt like as long as the foundation is there when it comes to raising children, core values and morals, and a whole lot of prayer, whether that other party is there or not, because sometimes you can have a man in a household and ruin that boy. And you can have women who try to do a good job with raising their sons and still fail because they baby them. And my thing is, who would you like to date? Raise your son in a manner to where it's someone that's going to respect,
Yes, exactly. And, guys, I want to let you guys know that I did not give them any information for them to study upon or give answers to, because I wanted this conversation to be very fluid. And what's crazy is I have a whole list of stuff I wanted to talk about, but they've already thrown it in there. So we're going to go ahead and talk about some of that. You said something really important about that a father is good, Tanika, to be in the home, not just for your son, but for your daughters, because for your girls, their father is the first representation of a man that they see, and I think it's important, because if he's not there, then you have that they're going to go for those bad boys. They're going to go for those guys that don't have, sometimes, not all the time. But it depends on the parent. And that's why I wanted to talk about the roles of men and women and why it is so important, not just to yourselves, but to your children and your families. Now, I want to ask you guys this, because I did a research and it said from the National Centers of Fathering, it said more than 20 million children live in a home without the physical presence of a father. I don't know about y'all, but that was kind of deep for me, really deep. And then we're going to also circle back, because Tanika, you said something about two parents being in a home, and I wanted to make sure that we talk about that. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about both parents being in a home and how that affects the father. And then, Dion, when we come back, I want your reaction on to those 20 million children in a home without a father. And guys, stay tuned, because we have some more great information for you. And this is Destiny Talk Live, and I'm your host, Cherry G.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. And just before the break, we are talking about a man's worth. I gave a fact that more than 20 million children live in a home without the physical presence of a father. And I want Dion to give me his thought on that, but we'll just go straight to you. Tell me what you think about that statement.
I think that's an alarming stat because if you look in our community, you can see, especially with the boys, that there's something missing. Mm-hmm. And they are looking for that thing. And it's being displaced because they're doing the wrong thing in their life. And it's because, the one thing that a father can provide is guidance. And a lot of times kids are looking for that, but they can't find it. So what they do is they look for it in areas where they think it is, which would be their friends, the street. And they're listening. They're just not listening to the right advice. They're listening to the street. They're listening to these songs. But if we had someone in the household that could, get to them before the streets did, then maybe they would listen to them. But we can see in our society that our kids are listening. It's just, what are they listening to?
Exactly. And I'm glad that you made that point, too, because that's something that I want to say. I hear a lot of single mothers, and people will make that excuse that, I couldn't be around my son or my child because I was working too much. I was a single parent, and my son is very respectful, very respectful. You have to, make wise decisions. Your kids didn't ask to come here. You brought them here. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you bring them up in a way you would want somebody to look at you or how you would be treated. And Tanika, you made a comment that a father being in the home, is important. And with them not being there, you have to be careful that even if there is a father there, if they're not right, then it could be a detriment and detriment to that child. And it's true. It really is true. I want to give a shout out because Brian had said something he sent a message that it doesn't have to be the physical father. And I agree because I have some friends that don't have children that are great with other people's kids. They could be an uncle, they could be a father, but you have to be careful at who you bring in your children's life. And we're going to talk more about that because some of us are a little bit selfish. We think we're thinking about ourselves and we're not thinking about the children or the people that are in the home. Do you guys agree with that?
I sure do.
Now, here's one more stat that just blew me over. It said 63% of the children that don't have fathers in the home commit suicide. What do you think about that, Tanika?
The rate of depression and suicidal thoughts, because I have a very close friend in New York that's a mental health therapist. She and I have conversations all the time about men. We were raised not to tell our business. You better not go out and tell what goes on in my house stays in my home. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. We were taught not to go out and discuss. So a lot of men internalize things and they use other things, sex, drugs, alcohol, and get misinformation from each other. But if you have two guys and both of them are messed up mentally, they're exchanging things that are just not good.
That is so true. Dion, what do you think about that?
Yeah, to piggyback off what she just said was, a lot of boys that are brought up in a single parent household with the mother, they learn a lot about women. Some of it may be good, some of it may be bad, but they're learning about women, but they don't know anything about men. So that's another reason why a man should be present. It doesn't have to be the father, like you said. It could be somebody, but it needs to be somebody present because there are things that boys need to learn and talk about that they may not be able to talk about with their mother or with a female. So what they do is talk to their friends. And when there is misinformation from the friend, because they probably don't know much either, then you keep having instances where this information is going around, but it's incorrect information.
I agree with that because it's really deep though, because again, it really just depends upon the atmosphere and the setting that you put your children in, or how you place yourself. And then sometimes, and we're going to talk about that later in the show, the mother is broken. So we're going to talk about those different things. But I also wanted to do a little bit more research and check in on my man. And Deanna, I'm really going to need you on these. There are 5 reasons why some men abandon their children by Eric Payne in Parenting Magazine. And one of them is, he said, he wants to be a father, but not with the woman who is the mother of his child. Now, I had to look at that and think about it for a minute, because I'm like, she was all that when you were, rolling around trying to do some things. Now that you didn't do what you needed to do to keep her from getting pregnant, she's pregnant and you don't want her to be your baby mama. Tell me why we should accept that excuse.
Oh, no, that's unacceptable. I mean, I think we as a society, we just stopped taking ownership of what we do, and we try to blame everything on something else. The reason why I'm not there is because of this. The reason I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do is because of that. And a lot of times, if you're a responsible person, you may have some challenges, but you should still step up and do the right thing if you put yourself in that position. So I think that's just a cop-out for people who don't want to do the right thing. They just make excuses not to.
Okay, yeah, I agree. What do you think, Tanika, I'm sorry.
You have a lot of, okay, as far as the guys not being there, my head is just going right about now. I'm sorry, y'all. But I think men need to be more responsible. We've lived off a double standard for so long that it's okay for men to sleep around and sleep with whomever they choose to. And women, if she did it, she was labeled certain names. But I just had this conversation 2 days ago with a friend. Men need to be more responsible with their penis. If you don't want to be with the person because, that's just not the woman you want to be with and you just so happen to have a kid, be more responsible with it. It's not cool and it's not okay for you to just go out here and sleep with this woman, that woman, because if you're not using precautionary measures to prevent pregnancy, then it's one of them things.
But I think that goes both ways.
It does.
But the responsibility of preventing pregnancy is always taught to be on the woman. So why do men feel that it's okay to just go and sleep with this one, that one, and the third one? That's not okay. So we have to teach our boys that no, that's not okay. That's not cool. Not just because of children, but diseases. And not only that, they lose so much. Some of them are so broken on the inside to where they're using sex as therapy, but after the good thing is done, then what? They're still broken.
And you're so right on that, because the thing for me is kids represent they model what they see. Mm-hmm. They react to whatever they see. And guys, I want you guys to stay tuned. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about these super women. So ladies, I hope you're tuned in and you're talking to Cherry G on Destiny Talk Live.
Use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. That's safercar.gov/ the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions? No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul. No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework. Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review? No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized. I think I understand. Oh, good. Finding best potatoes for French fries. No! Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold. Why don't you understand me? Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council. 1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Your health is at stake. Diabetes, gout, high blood pressure, inflammation, and joint pain, even weight loss. It's time to end your battle. The Abundant Life Movement is dedicated to the building of generational health by transforming your water with the power of alkaline to improve hydration and fight against acidic and unhealthy conditions in the body. Here's a testimonial from Linda Rogers Brown and Pamela McMillan.
2011, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had no pain and no symptoms associated with that illness. It's a silent killer. I was introduced to Extreme X2O alkaline water, and within 2 days of drinking it, I was off all my pain medicine, and now we're 6 years strong, no chemo, no radiation, no cancer.
I am a 3-time cancer survivor. I was born with thyroid cancer. By being on the alkaline products allowed me to be able to cope currently with colon cancer. Now I'm able to function and be more mobile within 3 days of being on the product.
Extreme X2O, when the water you're drinking is damaging your health. Extreme X2O. For more info, AbundantLifeMovement.com or call 910-527-2260.
If you're looking for that ratchet, you're in the wrong place. It's the nation's urban internet station, Sensation Station Network.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We are here talking about a man's worth and super women. If you didn't know, this is a radio station or a show that we're a judgment-free zone, and we're here to help you. We want you to also call in, text, and give us your comments at 678-613-5857. We would love to have your opinions and have you join into the conversation. Just before the break, again, before I go into that, let me reintroduce. Yes, again, we have Tanika Copeland-Smith here, as well as Dion DeBlas here with us today, helping me facilitate this conversation. Just before the break, we were talking about the responsibilities of men and women when it comes down to having children and having sex and being protected, and who is responsible for that. And during the break, we had a really good conversation. I want to bring that back up. Tanika had mentioned that, it's always on the woman to be responsible about having a child and what happens and so forth. And Dion said something that I want him to say live that I thought was pretty interesting, and then we're going to go into more about this having children and whose responsibility is it.
Well, honestly, I think it's both people's responsibility, but guys, sometimes we have been conditioned to be able to just walk away from something if that's not what we want to do. So although I agree that, the guy should be looking to bring protection or use protection as well, if the guy is the kind of guy that will walk away from something like that, then I think the woman should be ultimately the person that protects herself if she's not in a committed relationship and doesn't really know the person, because I think we are okay with a lot of things that we shouldn't be okay with. And one of those things is, this is a responsibility that I may or may not want to do. So I just think that you know, we should be careful who we sleep with, who we allow ourselves to be with, and what kind of spirit that you're bringing to yourself when you do sleep with someone.
That is very key, and that's very important, because what I want to talk about is, you know, some of us women out there, and again, I'm speaking from a single mother standpoint. We get out here, we have these children, then we become bitter, we become angry, and then we be like, we don't need nobody. I want to let y'all know, let that go. Let it go, because I need you guys to be bigger than that. Because whatever angry feeling, negativity, or whatever you have, and you bring that around the child and you feed that into the child, all you're doing is feeding angry, negative people into society. You know, my ex-husband and I, we didn't work out. You know, my kids didn't live with their father, but they never heard me say anything negative about their father. I didn't talk about him. You know why? Because I wanted them to learn about him on their own. Me and his relationship was not me, his, and theirs. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So a lot of us women, reason why I named this Superwoman, because some of us have that S on our chest and we think we're invincible. And I want to let you guys know we are not. We are not the end all, and I applaud all those single mothers out there. And I do want to throw this in. I do applaud those single fathers that are out there that are holding it down and doing the same thing that these single mothers are doing, and they don't get their props or their dues. So I want to make sure you guys know that we appreciate you out there. But I also want to talk, and Tanika, this is more like of a subject. Deon, I'm going to bring you in on some of it. But you and I have kind of come from, we kind of got like the same kind of story. We both were teenage mothers.
Right.
We both started out in things that, you know, some of us don't really want to talk about. We're going to get to that later too. But tell me your thought process on what it was for you, like when you first had your girls, before you got married. What was your situation like?
Cherry, what I did was, as a single mother of two girls, I had to first realize and own my mistake or error of my way. I made the bed, so I had to lay in it. But because I had so many people telling me who I wasn't going to be and how my life would end up, the determination in me wanted to show them different. So, I mean, I had people to tell me that I'll never amount to anything. I'll have 5 children, 10 children, and, you know, I'll live in the projects. I'll never go far in life, and, you know, just a lot of hurtful things. And because I had a spirit of determination, which I think I was born with, and I just knew that I was going to be different than what people spoke and said, I want to put it out here that we have to be very, very careful what we say out our mouth and speak to people, because what if they had said that to someone that didn't have that spirit of determination? When we speak words, they take root, okay? You can impregnate people with your words, and then now, whatever their life end up being, you spoke it over their life and into their life, so you are responsible just as much, you know, at the same time. A lot of people in the church, you know, for my sanctified, holier than thou Christians, you know, I had to look at it like this. I wasn't the first one to have a baby at 16. You know, that's been going on for a very long time. Let's keep it real. It's been going on. And it was some of the church folk and the people who could lift me up were the ones that
tore you down.
Tried to tear me down.
And I can relate to that. I really can. And we're going to talk more about that because, again, my ladies out there, you know, we have been through a lot of stuff and there's a lot of weight on us. And we're going to come back and talk with Deon about this. So stay tuned. We're going to come back with Superwoman. This is Cherry G, Destiny Talk Live.
Deliberate dumbing down.
Dumb down society.
Deliberate dumbing down of America.
Dumb down public. Why would they do this?
Sensation Station Network. Radio, not dumbed down.
Great leaders aren't born, They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Major key alert. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by GetSchooled and the Ad Council.
Deliberate dumbing down. Dumb down society.
Deliberate dumbing down of America.
Dumb down public. Why would they do this?
Sensation Station Network. Radio, not dumbed down.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We were talking about some really good stuff before we went on break about superwomen, what our roles are as mothers and as women. And we were talking about how, we have kids when we're younger. We're told we're not going to amount to anything. And Dion made a point where it's been so acceptable that they can just walk away. If they don't have these kids and don't want to take care of them, they can walk away. And then we have what we call the angry woman. I don't want to term it the angry black woman because this just does not affect black women. It affects all women. Okay, when they have children with men who walk away from their responsibilities and think it's okay. But what I want to make sure that I get my ladies to understand is you can't hold on to that nonsense because of the fact you have a life that you're responsible for. It's that child's life. You're responsible at how you bring them up, and you're going to either bring them up negative or you're going to bring them up positive. And I don't want any of you guys to think that, I'm just here, I got to accept where I am, because you can rise up above the situation that you are in. You do not have to be a product of your environment. I tease and I tell people this, but I mean it sincerely. Like with my family, we were the popular family at home, and everybody liked to be around us because it was so many kids. But, we were the cleavers on the outside, but you got in that house and them doors closed. It was the WWF up in that joint. You didn't know what was going to happen, So we have to be careful at what we do. And I had to learn as a single mother and a person who went through relationships and had bitter things that happened to me in life that I could not feed that into my kids. And I thank God I didn't. I learned from them daily. I tell people all the time, and anyone that knows me, I tell people, my oldest daughter taught me what love was. My son taught me patience, and my youngest taught me perseverance. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And I say, without them, I probably wouldn't be here. So, Deanna, I'm going to switch this question around to you, because this is something that, kind of touches me, and I'm sure it touches any other lady out there, and Tanika too. Guys' response to women. You guys always claim us as, you don't want to be around us because we are bitter. We won't let go when we have a kid because you don't want us no more. We hound you, we won't let go. But really, it's your responsibility that you brought that baby there. She didn't do it by herself. So tell me, why are we looked at like that?
Well, just to take the kids out of it for a second, I think when you were talking about women being bitter or guys thinking that women are bitter and stuff like that, I think women need to forgive themselves, because it starts with yourself. The problem is when a lot of women are bitter and mad at the guy, but they're really mad at themselves. And they can go on being mad for years and years because they don't realize that there are some things that they need to work on for themselves. And I'm not trying to beat down women, because men sometimes take advantage of that too. So we have some work to do as well. But everything is self-responsibility. That's where it starts, because once you can forgive yourself, you can let this thing go. But you will hold on to it like a pack of chips as long as you're hungry. So all I'm saying is the bitterness, the angriness, it can be released if you allow yourself to release it. So I encourage women to just release the anger, release the hate, look in the mirror and say, you know what? I made a mistake possibly by choosing this guy or letting this guy do this, because everything that he's doing isn't him just doing it. He's being allowed to do some of this stuff as well.
You said a mouthful, because that is what, and Tanika and I have had this conversation plenty of times, and this is what I always say, people, if you can't love yourself, how do you expect anybody else to love you?
True.
Because you don't know how to love you, so how can you tell them to love you?
True.
So he's right. You have to do it from self. You got to look at yourself and be able to look at that person in the mirror and talk to them and believe what's coming out of their mouth. Because some of us are afraid to look in that mirror. What do you think about what he said?
I mean, he hit the nail on the head when he said you have to own it. We have to own our mess.
Right.
Period. We have to own our mess and take a really good look in the mirror. Coming from a background where I dealt with a lot of women, being a hairstylist, and had the opportunity to serve a lot of women, whether they were married, single, old, or young, it goes back to self-esteem. Some of them are hurting so bad with how they look at that person in the mirror. I didn't look at it then because I started doing hair at a very young age. I was 18, and, then it was a hustle. But once I looked back and really, really thought about it, it was more of a ministry for me, because I can't tell you how many women I had to build up emotionally, whether they were married or single or whatever. And I was a young girl then, just trying to get money to take care of my 2 kids. But the key thing is that person that you're staring at in the mirror. You have to talk to yourself. One of the things that I do, I talk to myself. I tell myself who I am, and then it gets into my belief system. So I think if more women do that, then they can dispel some of the anger and the resentfulness and the bitterness that they're dealing with once they understand who they are.
And you said a mouthful right there, Tanika. I always say that you got to make sure that you stand up in the mirror and look at yourself and say, I believe in me and I am somebody. When we come back, we're going to wrap up Superwoman, and then we're going to talk about some family ties. Again, you're talking to Destiny Talk Live with Cherry G.
One in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans. When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. I want to be a warm place on a cold day. I want to be a football stadium. I want to be a bike that races around the country. I want to be a bench on a forest trail. When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
And so a new American industry has been born.
Sensation Station Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes,
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B. Console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C. Take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D. Help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, coming to you live every Thursday at 1 p.m. Just before the break, we were talking about Superwoman, but I really want you guys to call in and chime in. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear you talk about your questions. It's 678-613-5857. You can either text or call, and also you can type your questions in on Facebook, and we'll get to them, or your comments. I also want to give a shout out to Kim Bright for tuning in. Thank you so much, homegirl. I appreciate it. And also Mary Ann Jackson, thank you so much for tuning in and calling in and encouraging us to go forward. Just before the break, we talked about how women need to own up their vices, their messes, whatever you want to call it. You got to own up. Whatever you do, understand there are consequences behind that action. And then Dion made a real good point about men saying that we're bitter or we don't want things. It's because we have something within ourselves that we need to resolve, the reason why we're coming off the way that we do. When I was doing some research, I looked at the Huffington Post and the blog, and it said 5 reasons some women don't get married is, they said we're shallow. Okay, they said, we are not godly women. I'm going to use that word. We're selfish, and we lie and trap guys. Now, as I read this, I was like, hold up. It must have been a man that wrote this article. Because, all of us are not like that. Yes, we do. Everybody has some triflingness in their little areas. But I was like, that's kind of harsh, to say that. And, I read his little stuff on it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to mention those little titles. And we're gonna talk about that. And Dion's over here smiling and laughing. And I feel sorry for him because he's the only man in the room. So we're going to come at you for some help with understanding why he would say that.
Well, now this depends on the age too of a woman.
Okay.
I've experienced some of those things with dealing with women, because once you are filled with anger, once you're filled with bitterness, some of the things at least seem to be that way. It's because you can't let go of something that someone else did to you. I find myself sometimes being penalized for what other guys did. And what that does for me is it puts me in a mindset like, you know what, you're not going to treat me like that. You gave him the benefit of the doubt from the beginning. He messed it up. I want that same benefit of the doubt. So if I mess it up, then cuss me out. But don't curse me out before I even did anything. So I see some of what he's saying, but I also see that men have put women in some of these situations because men, we have to own our stuff too. We lie a lot. We play games a lot. And, sometimes, you have people believing you and believing in you. And the worst thing for somebody to do is to believe in something and be let down. It's one thing to believe you. But to believe in something, you put your whole being into believing in something.
I can agree with that. And I'm going to share like a little personal story, because with that when I was younger and after divorce and everything, there was a person that I really allowed into my life and in my kids' life, because I was very careful at who I brought in my home. I didn't want people around my children because I was afraid that if somebody did something to one of my kids, it's going down. So I really believed in this guy. I really, this lie carried on for 5 years. We got even down to the point where we were going to be married, And I had to find out 2 weeks before the wedding that he was married. That joker was good. I'm telling you, because he taught me how to play the game. And that's when you said, you know, men bring this to us. Now, I'm going to tell you, I was very bitter after that moment. You know, it took me a long time to even trust the guy, to where when I did have someone who could have been great in my life, I didn't know how to treat him because I was still angry. I was still mad. But I had learned that game from the gentleman that I was dating. And I was like, yo, ain't nobody ever going to get me like that again because, you know, this ain't even worth it. And that's what I want to tell you guys. I had to learn the hard way to let that go. To let it go. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. But ladies, we carry so much. We carry a lot. I know a lot of you have went out there, got your education, making good money, got a job. I don't need a man. I could take care. I could buy my own Gucci. I could do that. But I want to ask you a question, and I want y'all to be real with me. And you too, I want you to answer this, because men say the same thing. When you need somebody to hold you at night, is your job going to do it? Is your money going to do it? When you have someone passed away in your life, or you lost someone close to you and you just need that companionship of someone to talk to, is your car going to talk to you? Is your money going to talk to you? Is your house going to talk to you? I want to know what you guys think about that, because I know I was one of those women that were like, I can make this on my own. I don't need nobody. But in reality, all I was doing, slowly killing myself, falling into those steps of depression, falling into those steps of just that angry, bitter woman that nobody wanted to be around. And what was crazy, y'all, I thought I was hiding my nonsense. And as I started researching and myself and looking at myself, I was like, ooh, I was a hot mess. I wouldn't have liked myself either. So, you know, what do you think about that? Let's start with you, Tanika. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm laughing because I don't think some of that behavior for me comes out of being bitter or angry.
Okay.
I just like my own space. I want to hug you when I want to hug you, but let's not do too much of that, please. You know, I mean, I sometimes feel like I was born as a female but have dude tendencies.
I get that a lot.
You know, and that's not from being bitter, because I've always been like that. You know, just, you know, I'm cool, leave me alone, okay, we friends, but here go your stuff, and just, you know, and I'm not an only child, but I don't know, I just don't know where that come from.
But how do you approach that? Because when we say bitter, we're mostly talking about, or angry, we're mostly talking about those women who actually come across that way. It doesn't sound like that's how you come across. It just sounds like that's more of a preference. But there are actual women that are angry.
Well, no, because my husband, on the other hand, is very affectionate and lovable, and he say I'm mean. And it's, you know, so it can come across like that, I guess. But I just like my own space in the state of myself. I guess I'm just not a touchy-feely, you got to hug and do all that with me. Yeah. So, and I know, you know, even, perfect example, I have a little boot on, and I hurt my toe. My husband knew that it was serious because it brought tears to my eyes, because he said, I don't cry, I don't really show a lot of emotion, and it didn't come from hurt, because in the relationships that I've been in that hurt me, okay, you got me on that one, but, you know, I'm going to hurt you too, so.
But see, and that's where it goes. That's my point exactly, because we may not come across like, okay, I'm going to get you, but that next person is going to feel the wrath of Khan, because if you think about
I didn't do it like
well,
that.
I'm going to be honest, I was the one, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get you. I'm going to see how I'm going to get you, you know. And I understand what you're asking. And for me, it took me to be able to see myself outside of the situation, if that makes sense. I used to keep journals, write journals of everything that happened during the day. And when I started rereading those journals, I realized just how much of a hot mess I was. Like one of my friends says, a dressed up garbage can. I like that term.
I like that.
So I think a lot of it too is, as it pertains to relationships, by me getting older and going through several, you know, relationships and experiences, one thing that's key that I think we don't think about that much, we say it a lot, but you really have to know who you are in order to have a successful relationship, because you need to find somebody who understands that you're not touchy-feely.
Right.
You need to find somebody who understands that you need your space, because I'm like that too.
Right.
I need space, but at the same time, I would like somebody around. And it seems like it's, I want you when I feel like it.
Yeah.
But it's really not. It's, I want you to understand me.
Right.
Because if you understood me, I would have that space. You wouldn't touch me every 5 minutes because you know who I am. We don't take the time to know who the other person is because we're so busy trying to be in a relationship.
Now, let me ask you something, because you said something key. Do you think it's insecurity that people can't let you be who you are?
No,
not
for me.
He just said something that was very, I guess, important. Like for me, it doesn't take all that for me, and I'm a woman, and a lot of men assume that every woman needs certain things or wants certain things. So what Dion said is very key. Understanding who it is that you're with, and understanding that it's not anything about you as a person or individual, but it's more that person and their innate ability and who they are.
And the reason why I brought up the insecurity piece, because if you think about it, I talk to a lot of women, and some of them make conversation with me about their boyfriends or husbands or whatever, and they do things that I've never done. I don't go through cell phones. I ain't looking at your email. I'm not doing any of that, because my thing is, that's one, showing that I don't trust who I am as an individual, and I'm insecure, and I'm very secure in who I am. And I think it's just wrong. I mean, because you know what you're going to find if you go looking for it,
That's
right?
true.
If you find it, why you mad? I mean,
true.
you went in there looking for a name. Why you mad? Don't do it if you don't want to know. I always tell people, if you don't want to know the truth about something, don't ask me the question.
Well, I think a lot of people would rather act up than walk away. They don't have enough courage to say, this relationship may not be for me, because like you said, if you have to go through all of these different things, send a detective somewhere, have your friend follow somebody and sit at the bar, if you have to go through that kind of stuff, that's not even a relationship you should stay in if you find out the truth. What they're afraid of is walking away and being by themselves.
And that's key, what he said. And so right now, we are getting ready to go into our section where we want to send some prayers out there. We have some people that are still in effect, feeling the effects of Harvey out there. We're praying for all of you people out there in Texas. I also want to pray for all of my family and friends out in Florida, or everyone that's in the path of Hurricane Irma. And then we want to pray for those who lost some loved ones. I want to send a special prayer out to Ray Story and his family, Cookie Madrill and her family, Bernice Thompson and Takia Neely and their family for losing loved ones. You guys keep them in their prayer, and you know that God gives them peace and comfort in their time of grief. And then we want to do something a little bit more happy. We want to go out and give out our birthday shout outs to the Virgos. I'm getting ready to turn that big 50 on Monday, so I'm excited about it. So happy birthday to Derek Pratt out in Banning, California, Patrice Scott in Montclair, New Jersey, Yolina George, Tommy Brown of Shreveport, Louisiana, Paola Carolina Wing of South Pasadena, California, Warren Scott of Memphis, Tennessee, Daniel Hamilton of Davenport, Florida, Leisha Johnson of New York, Sholanda Poland of North Augusta, South Carolina, Otto Rosales, Shakina Ward Forsythe of Winter Garden, Florida, Sergio of Orlando, and Mario Magdrell of California. Happy birthday to you guys. Virgos do it right, so we're one of those people that you just gotta love. You guys are listening to Destiny Talk Live, and I'm your host, Cherry G.
This is Brianna.
Yeah, it's that little Chico Pitbull, Mr. 305 till I die. Listen live online. Sensation Station Network.
Everybody successful lays a blueprint out. You laid the blueprint out. I stayed true to my dreams. And by doing that, eventually it came true.
A lot of times, it's like in life, right? Life brings like drama, and you got to deal with this person, and then funky relationship here, and all these things. You try and just kind of balance them out as best I can.
Make a choice
right? You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way.
Everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do.
Unleash your beast. Write your history.
Well, you'll see what happens. Sensation Station Network.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, coming to you every Thursday at 1 p.m. Guys, I want you to call in and text or call and let us know your opinions, your comments, and join the conversation at 678-613-5857. If you have any questions, you can also type them in on Facebook and we'll get to them. Right now, we're going to talk about some family ties, why it is important for family. Now, I went because I wanted to do some research and find out what people out there are thinking about family ties. And I got the definition for family ties. It says the concept of the family from North Carolina Sociological Association. It says the family is generally regarded as a major social institution and a locus of much of the person's social activity. It is a social unit created by blood, marriage, or adoption. And I was like, okay, I was like, I don't know about the locus unit or whatever they were trying to say, but to me, family is not only just blood, but those people that are there that marry in or just friends. I consider friends that are close to me as family. Now, I also went and found out what things could we do to make the family happy, and they came up with 7 tips, and we're going to discuss that during this hour, okay?
Okay.
So the first tip, it says you need to have dinner together, share the family history, reduce stress, be a part of a larger community. They said families that are involved in the church are much happier than those that aren't. Use checklists, empower the children, and grandmas have superpowers. Kids, they can teach kids to cooperate and to be compassionate. Now, I had some mixed reviews on this. Okay, I agree with having the dinner. I don't care what your day is going like. You should make time out for your children. Do you guys agree with that?
Yes. Definitely.
And share family history. That can be a little tricky. Because some family history you just don't need to share. But I do believe what they mean by that is just having serious conversation. Let kids know their family, who they're from. What do you guys think about that? Did you do that as growing up as a kid?
I'm not sure that we did it intentionally. I mean, you know, when you're with family, a lot of different topics and a lot of different things come up. So you talk about this person, or I remember when Uncle so-and-so did this, or I remember or when Grandma did that. So family is important what's important is to sit down with the people that you love and just talk, communicate. We are lacking communication in our society, and communication is not shooting something at you and then you shoot something back at me
in an email or a text.
Right. It's or even in person. It's actually sitting down and try to understand what the person is saying, because see, I can communicate with you and disagree. But what you may want me to know is I just want you to understand where I'm coming from. You don't have to agree with what I'm doing or what I'm saying. Just understand it. And once I understand it, I can say, you know what? I didn't see it that way.
Right.
I see why you may have said that. I see why you may have done that. So to me, what family does is it allows you to communicate.
Exactly. That's the word, communicate. I like the fact, too, because how many guys have, you know, I got kids. I know you got kids. Dion is a surrogate dad. But just questions for your conversations when you're sitting around family. What do you see people have at the table? What do you see all the time? Cell phones, tablets. So that's where our conversations are going. And you're right. Communication can be make a world of difference for your families. Now, reducing stress. Tanika, you have 4 girls, right? How did you reduce stress with your girls?
Prayer. A whole lot of prayer. Having a house full of women, including the dog, female, it was deep. So it's just one of them things. Family is so important. I taught them how to love one another, respect each other, and your sister is your first best friend along with your cousins and all. But it's just about making them understand their core values and worth and morals.
That's important. Guys, we're talking about family ties. You are listening to Destiny Talk Live, and I'm your host, Cherry G.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it. And it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ. And he guided us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place this first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am disciplined.
I am disciplined. Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
Enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Our freedom and security are made possible through the service and sacrifice of our military and first responders. The Gary Sinise Foundation provides many outreach programs supporting these brave men and women. Join us. Donate at GarySiniseFoundation.org.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction. Invest $49 a month at a real gym. For more info, go to Facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Sensation Station Network.
Radio 2, Atlanta.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We're talking about men, women, and their roles and why it's important, and family ties. This is the time that we want you to call in and text and tell us what you're thinking at 678-613-5857. We had a text come in that said, everyone just wants to be heard. Thank you so much for your text and participating. But with that, I want these guys to tell me, what do you think about that? Deon, let's start with you.
Everybody wants to be heard. What that says to me is just listen to my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. I just want to be heard. I just want to feel like I'm a part of the conversation, because a lot of times people just want to express themselves, and not necessarily for a comment or criticism, but this is just how I feel, because it's important to them how they feel. And sometimes it should be important to the person that they're talking to how they feel.
I agree with that. Tanika, what do you think on that? And then you do have a text I want you to read out, because I thought it was profound as well.
I think in a lot of families, I agree with the text message. People just want to be heard within their family unit and feel safe. Family should be a safe haven, but because now in society with the competition and the judgment, people judge each other so clearly, a lot of times you just don't feel comfortable around your family than you used to back in the day. You know, it used to be a point, well, when you got to grandma's house or you got amongst your family, you were able to be who you are, and regardless of what you had, the facade that you had to put on outside of those family doors, a corridor, people just want to be heard and be able to be themselves. We did have a text message to come in, and it was one from Nicole. Nicole said that children want to be spoken to more. The cellular phone and tablets are out of control, and along with that, it's creating children who have decreased communication and social skills. And I have to agree. I have an 8-year-old, and I'm very mindful of that because we are in a society where kids are doing this right here all the time, as to where I make her speak. Don't shake your head. We weren't allowed to shake our head at adults when we were asked questions. So I think as adults, we all have to be mindful of that, because I've seen it out in public with other people's children. We have to teach this young generation to expound on these short answers that they give you and just be able to communicate more.
And what we were talking about earlier in the show, we were talking about a man's worth. And I think this is a good part here, because a lot of times I think men are just misunderstood sometimes. Not every man out there is out to destroy. And not every man out there is not doing what they're supposed to do. You've got guys out there that are trying, but they just don't have that support that they need to get it done. And Dion made a point earlier in the show that they're only going by what they see. They're going by example. So if you are junky and you're teaching your son or daughter or whoever to be junky, guess what? That's what they're going to be. So I think sometimes we as women, we as mothers, we as brothers, we as sisters, whatever, we need to listen. We need to find out what are those things or those vices that are keeping them from excelling. We need to stop blaming and pointing the finger and turn the mirror on ourselves. What do you guys think about that? Dion, let's start with you.
I think the biggest problem with the communication between men and women is we think we know everything. So, and not men, but I'm saying like everybody thinks they know. Everybody has it together. I know what women want. I know how to treat. I know this. I know that. Sometimes we don't know, because there was a comment made earlier. They were talking about. You don't treat everybody the same way. Everybody doesn't like the same things. So sometimes I think the communication aspect, ask questions. Find out what it is that you like. What do you like? What do you like to talk about? What do you like to do? Instead of assuming everything. I think we do a lot of assumptions. We do a lot of stuff because all of our life, I touched this girl that way and she was, ooh, so now I'm going to touch everybody that way. Well, it doesn't work like that. Everybody's different. So, have a dialogue with a person, whether it's about the kids, whether it's about your day. Just find out what's in the other person's head by asking questions.
Well, let me ask you this, and then we're going to come back to you on that question, Tanika. But I do want to know, because some guys don't want you to ask them questions, and some guys don't want you to tell them nothing. So how do you deal with that?
Again, if you're the type of, you have to know who you are, because the only thing that's going to cause is for that person to suppress themselves in that relationship. And as that relationship goes on, that bomb is going to explode at some point. So if you know who you are and you're that type of person that likes to talk, likes this dialogue, if the guy or the person that you're with isn't that person, maybe you need to think about, maybe this isn't the person for me. A great person, a great father, but for me, maybe not a great fit.
That is very key what you said, and I agree with that, because it's so important. Again, like both of them have been saying throughout the show, you got to know who you are and know yourself. And as we go further in talking about a man's worth, superwomen, and family ties, we're going to tie some other things in there to help you along your way. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Your health is at stake. Diabetes, gout, high blood pressure, inflammation, and joint pain, even weight loss. It's time to end your battle. The Abundant Life Movement is dedicated to the building of generational health by transforming your water with the power of alkaline to improve hydration and fight against acidic and unhealthy conditions in the body. Here's a testimonial from Linda Rogers Brown and Pamela McMillan.
2011, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had no pain and no symptoms associated with that illness. It's a silent killer. I was introduced to Extreme X2O alkaline water, and within 2 days of drinking it, I was off all my pain medicine, and now we're 6 years strong, no chemo, no radiation, no cancer.
I am a 3-time cancer survivor. I was born with thyroid cancer. By being on the alkaline products allowed me to be able to cope currently with colon cancer. Now I'm able to function and be more mobile within 3 days of being on the product.
Extreme X2O, when the water you're drinking is damaging your health. Extreme X2O. For more info, AbundantLifeMovement.com or call 910-527-2260.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Sensation Station Network.
Radio 2, Atlanta.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. I want to thank everybody that has been texting and calling in. We want to thank Brian for your comment, which he said that the breakdown, the bond of family is not strong as it used to be, right? Because breakdown in communication. Mm-hmm. And also Santrell, thank you so much for calling in. She said everybody wants to be heard. I'm sorry. Listen with the intent to understand and without making a comment. I want to make sure I got that right. Thank you, Santrell, for coming in. And guys, if you want to join in the conversation, it's 678-613-5857. Please text or call or type your question or comment into Facebook, and we will get back to you with it. But before the break, we were talking about communication, and that is the big thing. We're talking about communicating as far as it goes for men, women, and as the family. And I want to talk a little bit about women. We have so much on our shoulders. We deal with so much daily. Family, work, just ourselves. And Dion made a point, too, that if you're not in tune with who you are, you're not going to be able to effectively communicate or do the things in life that you intend to do, because you have so much baggage that's holding you down. And ladies, I don't want you to think it's just us with the issues. It's men with issues too. But how do we not blame one another but help one another get through the things that we are going through? So I want to talk a little bit, and Tanika, I'm going to start with you on something that Brian said. He said the family doesn't have the bond that it used to have anymore because of the breakdown in communication. What is your thought about that?
I think Brian was right on point with what he said, Cherry. I think now, moving forward, we need to sit our families together, whether it's at dinner time or once a week. We need to have family meetings and, say, how was your week? This happened, what was good, bad, and because we have to force communication on our children nowadays, and even with some of our spouses, it's almost like pulling teeth trying to get to understand who they are, the person they become. And when it comes to marriages within the family unit, we start dating a person at a certain, it could be 10, 15 years from, today, and that person is expecting you to be that same person that you were then. And within the family unit, we evolve, or we should evolve. So the communication part, taking a moment to sit down, to say, hey, what happened? How could that have been better? And that's what I try to model and practice within my home. So I think we have to bring it back. But because we know this collectively together, we have to start back doing this.
And that is very important. Now, Dion, I want to come back to you with the comment Centrell had made. She said, listen with the intent to understand and not always making a comment. What do you think about that?
I think that's a good point. I think a lot of times when we have conversations with people or discussions with people, we're waiting for them to finish a sentence so we can come back with a rebuttal. Instead of actually listening, it's a double Dutch situation where I'm just waiting, I'm going rocking back and forth, just waiting to jump in. And that's not what communication is. All you did was hear what that person said, and then as soon as they hit a period, then you jump right in. So what people need to do, in my opinion, is a lot of this communication and a lot of this stuff also deals with people in your life that you care about and they care about you. Because if you're with someone that doesn't really care about you, you're not going to be able to communicate with that person because they don't really want to hear what you have to say anyway. So I keep saying this, and I hope y'all are not getting tired of it, but once you know who you are and what you want, a lot of the BS will fall away because you will position yourself around people who care about you. And I think a lot of the problems that we're having in society is just like what we spoke about earlier about guys leaving. They're leaving because they don't care. And they didn't care from the beginning, and they didn't care, and they still don't care. So if you're dating, if you're single, don't go out looking for a relationship.
Right.
Look for someone that you can talk to. Look for somebody that you enjoy being around, that treats you right, and then that thing may lead to a relationship. But if you go out looking for a relationship, you'll find a relationship.
Oh, yeah, you're going to find one. It might not be what you want.
But if you don't put the parameter, if you don't set the parameters, then that's all you'll have is a relationship. But find out who you are, love yourself, and then a lot of times from that point on, things become easier.
And you're right with what you said. And no, I hope people don't get tired of hearing it. You do have to know who you are. You have to be comfortable in your own skin, and you have to be able to own up to your stuff. You know, Tanika made a comment where she's saying that you have to get with your families and have family time. For me, when I got divorced and it was just me and my kids, it was very important for me, for them to understand that I'm there for them and they are there for me, that I am just as human as they are. We had round table. We talked about each other's problems every day. I made it a point to have dinner with them. If I couldn't have dinner with them at night, I made it to the school to have lunch with them during the day. My kids weren't the type that were like, oh my God, my mother's coming up here, I'm so embarrassed. They weren't embarrassed of me. You know, we are like, I tell people the Iron Curtain, we ride and die. Those are my ride and dies. But I made it a point to be approachable. And I want to make sure that my ladies, as well as my men, understand you have to be approachable for your children. You have to keep an open mind. I used to tell people, I think my oldest one just came to me with conversations and said things just to see how I was going to react. And, you know, and we've had conversations where she said, well, you didn't react like I thought you would, but you did. You showed me something different. I didn't fly off the handle. Now, they know I get kind of crunchy on some stuff, and I admit it. But I would come back and tell them why I was upset about something or whatever. I know a lot of you parents out there and a lot of people, I don't have to explain to myself to no kid. Yes, you do. I'm not saying you have to go in straight detail, but just don't tell them something and not explain why you're doing it. Like, I'll give a quick example. When my son was 10, I told him, I think it was around 9 or 10, and they had a bicycle, and I told him, do not ride the bike without your helmet. He decided he was going to ride the bike without the helmet. So he didn't see me come in stealth mode, come home. He tried to run home, get the helmet on. I was like, nah, it's too late. We rode the bicycle to the garbage can, and I made him throw it away. And he was looking at me crazy like everybody else was looking at me crazy. And I asked him, do you know why I told you why we threw the bike away? He said, because I rode it without a helmet. I said, yeah, and then you wasted my money because I asked you to do something and you didn't do it. So he didn't get a bike for 2 years, and I told his sisters, if I catch him on y'all bike, it's going in the garbage can too. You know, everybody thought that was harsh, but I was consistent. But I tell you what, when he got that bike again, he didn't ride that bike without a helmet. Now, I did go back and take the bike out of the garbage can and gave it to Goodwill, but he didn't know that until we got older. But my point for that is you have to be consistent and you have to listen. You're not their friend. You know, me and my kids hang out. I mean, they're grown and we hang out, but I'm not their friend. And I want y'all to understand that it's important to be parents, especially when it comes down to family. And as we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live, and I'm your host, Cherry G.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're not the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you going to do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions? No. Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul. No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework. Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review? No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized. I think I understand. Oh, good. Finding best potatoes for French fries. No! Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold. Why don't you understand me? Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Viola Davis. Did you know that 1 in 5 kids in America struggle with hunger? Growing up, I was one of those kids. But we can solve this. When we make breakfast happen for kids in our neighborhood, we have the power to end childhood hunger, create bigger, brighter school days, and healthier minds and bodies. Go to hungeris.org and lend your time or your voice.
We're hungry for more.
A message from the Albertsons Companies Foundation and the Entertainment Industry Foundation.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. For those of you just joining us, we are talking about men, women, and their roles as it relates to families and to themselves. We're thankful for everybody that has been commenting, texting, and calling in. We want to give you that number again so you can join the conversation. It's 678-613-5857. We love to hear from you. Just before the break, we were talking about, how we have to be, again, like Dion said, in tune with ourselves. But I want to turn back around to this family ties stuff. We said about sharing the family, sharing stories of the family, communicating with them. How do you reduce stress? Can anybody tell me, how do you reduce stress when it comes down to your family? And Tanika, I'm putting you on the hot seat. So, and the reason why I'm putting Tanika on the hot seat, guys, is I have 2 girls and 1 boy. And I already know how emotional my house was with 3 women and one son. And I feel sorry for him, y'all. I pray for him daily. But she has 4 girls and a female dog. So I need her to explain to me, how do you deal with stress?
A whole bunch of prayer. I say it again. A whole bunch of prayer. So far, I've not caught a case or caught a charge, because you do know that, I do have one that, she's a little firecracker, and, you see yourselves in the girls, and sometimes we just have to be real with what's going on in society now, and we can't really relate it to back when we were young, and I think that's what a lot of parents do. And I tell people, parenting is the only thing that I have ownership to my children that did not come with an instructional manual. They all are different. They all are uniquely themselves. You have to allow them to be themselves within, there are some limitations there, but at the same time, it goes down to, back in the day, we were told the children should be seen and not heard, and children were not really encouraged to have a voice. As to now, we want to encourage them to be able to communicate, so people will know who they are and who's, they are at the same time. But just teaching them core values and morals and making sure, because we had certain standards to model as far as behavior then, but now it's so much. You got Snapchat, Instagram. You have to have those hard conversations. With me having a 14-year-old, I have to make sure that she's aware and know, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Certain body parts shouldn't be shown on social media. Maybe your teeth, your eyes, your smile, but other things, without being so direct. But that's letting her know at the same time, and planting seeds is very important. So, you just have to go with the flow. Take each day at a time. If something comes to you that shock you, you can't show too much reaction up front. Go in your room, cry, do whatever, but you have to just take each day as it comes.
Oh, I agree. Now, Dion, you have stress on a different level when you have to reduce stress. So you are a single man, no children, but you have nieces and nephews, you have a sister, you have family members. How do you deal with stress?
I think a lot of what people should do, and I'm definitely not trying to preach with this particular comment, because I fall under the same thing. Sometimes you just gotta grow up and do the right thing. I've been in a situation where, when you're dealing with people and, whether it's relationships or family, you start to become petty. Well, if this person doesn't do something, then I'm not going to do this. And it just becomes a back and forth being petty. And that causes stress. And it causes long-term stress, because you start to hold that stuff inside. It started out real small. And as the days and months and years go by, it increases in size. And you're getting sick inside and don't realize it's because you're being petty. Because a lot of what letting things go does is it helps you. If I let this thing go, I'm not giving this person a pass necessarily. I'm helping myself move on. And I think we just need to grow up, and I am number one on that list. I need to grow up sometimes and do what's right versus being petty.
I agree with that. What do you think, Tanika, on his comment?
I agree. Dina stated that everyone is aware of their role and be on board with filling those roles, and that's very important. And back to what Dion said, I like what Dina said about we have to know our role and play our position, but sometimes you can encourage people to treat you how you want to be treated, how you react and handle things. So, instead of being petty tit for tat, you can make people do what you want them to do by handling it a certain way instead of being direct.
That's so true. You have to be, like he said, and like Tanika said, you have to be comfortable in who you are. You are listening to Destiny Talk Live, and I'm your host, Cherry G.
What's a dumb way to listen to an awesome mix of urban hits? Smart Home. Sensation Station Network. Too much sauce.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful Online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, beyond differences in I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. Just before the break, we were talking about family ties and men and women, how it relates to the family. I want you to text and call in your conversations, and all of you guys that have been doing that, thank you so much. The number is 678-613-5857. Just before the break, we were just really talking about how we had to be in tune with ourselves. Now I have a tough question, and I'm asking this because my family is kind of like going through this right now. And it all deals back to family and how you respond as a person. So you have a family member that marries someone that you really don't care so much about, okay? But it's not that you're mad that he married them or she married them. You just they're just not who you want to be friends with. But you're not disrespectful to them. So your family member doesn't speak or communicate with you anymore because you don't accept who they chose to be in their life. How would you guys deal with that? Let's start with you, Dion.
In a situation like that, you really can't make someone do something that they don't want to do. Hopefully, they'll learn sooner than later. But sometimes you just got to take a step back, let them live their lives. That's their spouse. Let them live and communicate with them as best you can. But I don't think people should just be in other people's business like that. I mean, unless there's something going on, like if they're getting beat or harmed, then that's a different thing. But if they're just living their life, you may not agree with it. And that's the whole thing about what we were talking about. We don't always have to agree. Sometimes we have to accept. So that would be my advice.
Well, and before I have you chime in, the thing is that, and it's me, I don't care who he's married to, my brother's married to. I mean, I just don't have to be her friend. I'm not going to be rude to her. I'm never disrespectful, and I don't make comments about her. We're just not having tea. We're not going out shopping. We're not going to do any of that. But it's not me with the problem. It's him with the problem because he doesn't like the fact that I don't care too much for his wife. So he doesn't talk to me. So that's where I'm at on the fence. It's like, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I shouldn't be made or bullied into liking your mate.
I mean, as far as that is concerned, it's none of your business, and your reason why you don't like her is none of his business. And at the end of the day, we just have to live and understand. You said the key word, respect. As long as we continue to respect the other party, that's that. And I mean, that's so important. You have to respect that person as an individual and not disrespect them just because you don't like them. I've seen some people come through the family house that I didn't like for, my own personal reasons. But hey, if that's who you want, do you, girl.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't disagree. I mean, because when you choose your mate, that's who you choose. It's none of my business. I don't live in the house with you. I don't care what y'all do. All I'm saying is that respect me like you want me to respect you. If I don't sit and have tea and coffee and kiki in your face, understand that I'm just respecting the fact that I'm not being fake to you.
Well, I personally don't think it's being fake. I'm not saying you should go way out of your way, But if you do have a relationship with your brother, then instead of thinking that you're going to T and Kiki in her face, Kiki in his face. Say, have your communication more tailored towards him, and then make yourself scarce to say, hey, I just wanted to come by and say hey, or whatever, and roll out. Shoot a text, hey, just checking on you. But your relationship with your brother should be more important than whatever the dislike you have for his wife.
And I agree with both of you. And here's the problem, though. I'm not the one that stopped the communication.
Well, that's where you have to be the bigger person.
Even though I've reached out, hey, how are you doing? And it was basically told, I don't have any family. You're not my family. Do not reach out to me because you don't like my wife.
He love his wife,
I guess. So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, as long as you do your part and you know within your heart you've done your part. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's real. I mean, pray about it and pray that the relationship gets better, because family is important, and regardless of how you feel about her or he feel about you, being that he know how you truly feel about her, at the end of the day, if he needed a kidney, would you give it to him?
Of course. I mean, I love my brother regardless of what his decisions are. I just wanted to put that out there because there are people who are facing that.
Right.
It's the same situation that I'm in. I just want to make sure you guys take the high road. I took the high road. You do the same. And you guys, you're listening to Destiny Talk Live, and I'm your host, Cherry G.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is big business. This is the American way.
Station Network.
See ya.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. At this moment of the show, I want to send shout-outs to some people. First, I want to ask everybody, please, to pray for the people in Texas that were affected by the hurricane, Harvey? Mm-hmm. That hit Houston, Texas. Pray for those families that are still displaced or have lost loved ones. I also want to take this time to pray for all of the families that are in the path of Hurricane Irma, my Florida people, South Carolina, the islands that it hit. I just want you guys to still please pray for those. And then I want to send prayers out to people who have lost loved ones. I want to give a shout out and a prayer to Ray Story, Cookie Madrigal, Bernice Thompson, and Takia Neely and family. You guys, please pray that God gives them strength to their time of need. And guys, we here at Destiny Talk Live offer our condolences. And I want to give a shout out to all my Virgos again, to my little birthdays. Woo, woo. All of you that already have birthdays. But here we're going to say happy birthday to Derek Pratt in Banning, California, Patrice Scott in Montclair, New Jersey, Yolena George, Tommy Brown in Shreveport, Louisiana, Paola Carolina Wing in South Pasadena, California, Warren Scott of Memphis, Tennessee, Daniel Hamilton of Davenport, Florida, Lisa Johnson of New York, Sholanda Poland from North Augusta, South Carolina, Otto Rosales, Shakina Ward Forsyth in Winter Garden, Florida, Sergio in Orlando, and Marco Madrigal in California. Happy birthday to all you Virgos. And I'm going to do a quick shout out to myself for getting ready to turn the big 5 on Monday, 9/11, you guys.
Happy
so we're going to
birthday.
turn up. So, everybody said, Cherry, you getting old. No, I'm just
seasoned.
I'm just, I'm
Seasoned
still
grown
good.
woman.
50 is the new 25, guys. So if y'all didn't know.
Okay.
If you didn't know, now you know.
Okay.
And so if anybody else is out there having birthdays, happy birthday to you. And if you are having some things or lost loved ones out there, again, we here at Destiny Talk Live offer our condolences, and we're going to send those prayers out to you. And guys, when we come back, we're going to finish up this great conversation we're having about men, women, and family ties. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And lead the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Your health is at stake. Diabetes, gout, high blood pressure, inflammation, and joint pain, even weight loss. It's time to end your battle. The Abundant Life Movement is dedicated to the building of generational health by transforming your water with the power of alkaline to improve hydration and fight against acidic and unhealthy conditions in the body. Here's a testimonial from Linda Rogers Brown and Pamela McMillan.
2011, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had no pain and no symptoms associated with that illness. It's a silent killer. I was introduced to Extreme X2O alkaline water, and within 2 days of drinking it, I was off all my pain medicine, and now we're 6 years strong, no chemo, no radiation, no cancer.
I am a 3-time cancer survivor. I was born with thyroid cancer. By being on the alkaline products allowed me to be able to cope currently with colon cancer. Now I'm able to function and be more mobile within 3 days of being on the product.
Extreme X2O, when the water you're drinking is damaging your health. Extreme X2O. For more info, AbundantLifeMovement.com or call 910-527-2260.
Uncle Dan?
Mom? Dad?
If you store your guns properly, so not just anyone can get to them.
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside. Safer when walking home.
Safer when my friends come over. As your neighbor, I'll feel safer.
As a school teacher, I'll feel safer.
We'll all feel safer.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, coming to you every Thursday at 1 p.m. I'm going to let my guest, Tanika, tell you once again how you can reach out to her if you have any questions or also need help with the services she offered. Can you give that to them one more time?
Family Life Legacy is my business. I'm on all social media, Tanika Smith Copeland, The Real Tanika on Instagram. My number is 770-904-9049. I would be too happy to help you with credit, real estate, or insurance services, health and life, that is.
And again, you're listening to Destiny Talk Live. You can follow us on Facebook at Destiny Talk Live. We're also on Instagram and Twitter as Destiny Talk Live. And also, I want to give some information out to those of you that are getting excited about football this Sunday. The real season really kicks off when the Cowboys start to play. So I had to throw that in there, you know.
Go Eagles.
Because I got an Eagles fan in here, Lord help me, and a Falcons fan. But it's okay. You know, everybody wants to be a part of greatness. So if you're looking for somewhere to watch the game, DC Extreme will be at Empire Sports Bar on Windy Hill in Marietta, Georgia. The Dallas Cowboys Block Party, ATL, will be at the Ice Bar Lounge in College Park. And yes, I'm going to give a shout out to the New York Giants only because I do have some Giant friends. So the New York Giants will be watching it at Chef Rob's in Sandy Springs. So make sure that you guys go there if you need somewhere to watch the game. If you did not go to Texas, that's where you can watch. Now, at this point, too, I want to talk to you about all this stuff that we've been talking about, the men, the women, and families, and how we can make ourselves better. So this part of the show is called Knowledge is Power. And I want to talk to you guys about improving your mindfulness. Now, what does that mean? I know a lot of you guys are like, what you mean by improving my mindfulness? One, I want you to live in the present and address the danger of distorted thinking. And what that means is stop blaming folks.
Yeah.
Stop blaming people for your shortcomings, your mistakes. Own up to your mess. Own it. Once you accept it and you own it, you'll be able to address it and fix it. The next thing I want you to do is cultivate confidence. You got to have confidence in yourself. You want to trust yourself. Believe that you will be able to learn and grow and accomplish your goals. The key there is learn. Whenever you get to where you stop learning, there's a problem there, folks. I need you to understand that every day should be you're learning something. Always learn something. You also want to leave your comfort zone. That's important. You want to take risk, and trying new things will show you that you are capable than more than you realize. Because when you stay in that one little bubble in that corner and you don't venture out, then you're going to stay stuck. So what I'm saying to you is, just because you live in Bankhead doesn't mean you can't roll over to Cobb sometimes. You get what I'm saying? Leave your areas, learn new things, and learn new cultures. And then you want to accept praise. Be comfortable with well-deserved praise, but do not demand it. And refusing it is not the same thing as humility. So if you've done something good and somebody tells you that, accept it. If you look nice, accept it. Don't look because someone told you you have on a nice outfit, your hair is doing good, or you dress nice, you smell nice, what that mean? No, take the compliment, guys. Don't try to read everything in it. And this is going to sound kind of crazy when I tell you that you need to be confident, be humble. You still have to be humble. You have to have some type of humility when you're dealing with anybody and with yourself. Now that I put those points out there, I'm going to go to each of my guests, and I want them to tell me what they think about what I just shared, and then offer any other tips that they may have. So, Tanika, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Dion. I'm going to let him go ahead and address that first. Dion, tell us what you think about what I just said, and then what you would add to it or take away.
What I wanted to just say about that is I want us to act like our computers sometimes. Our computers hold a lot of information, some good, some bad, and sometimes it gets hung up, and we have to hit the reset button. And we have to do the same thing with our minds. We have to renew our minds. Sometimes we just have to hit the reset button, let things, calm down, and then start again. So I would just encourage everybody, think positive, move forward. Like you said, yesterday's gone, and we can't do anything about tomorrow. Live in today and be better today than you were yesterday, and try to be better tomorrow.
I agree. I like that. What do you think about the topic, Tanika?
I think that as people, because we deal with so much now, and there's a lot of noise around us. You got the noise of Facebook, Instagram, all the different social media outlets. It's so important that we take a minute, at least 10 minutes a day, to just meditate and think, maybe even journal. Journaling is so important because you can actually dump some of the things that you have that you might be holding on the inside. What is written is real. So when we put those thoughts and things on paper, whether it's a dream that you want to do or something that you need to let go, ink it and stop thinking it, because those are things that can help you become a better person. And you're not doing this just for yourself. You're actually doing it for the people that you are around. You're doing it for your family. You're doing it for your coworkers, the ones that sit in cubicle nations, whoever. So just become a better person and think about who it is that you want people to perceive you as, and start writing. Talk to yourself. If all else fails, just speak it. Talk to yourself.
I'm a big opponent of journaling. I kept journals for years, and a part of Destiny Talk being here comes from me reading those journals when I decided to do a self-evaluation of Cherry and go through my life and figure things out. And it came into Destiny Talk, and that's why I'm here. And in December, I'll be going ahead and officially bringing it on out with my book, and we'll stay tuned with that. And then I want to say something about being humble. Here I got something that says being humble means we honestly recognize our limitations as well as our positive attributes. Being humble means you can understand where you need to improve and you are willing to learn. All right, Tanika, your thoughts on that?
You have to always remember to be willing to learn and be humble and give gratitude to others, not being cocky or arrogant, because it sends off a message. People can feel and know a humble spirit, and we see a lot on Facebook. And I just try to also remain rooted and grounded in humbleness. I never want to put anything out there on social media anywhere that comes across as bragging. I mean, it takes other people to talk about your greatness to where you don't have to do it yourself, okay? You can show the world your greatness by being silent sometimes.
Okay, I agree with that. I like that. What do you think about that, Dion?
Well, I know everybody may not be believers in the same thing that I believe in, but I believe in God, and I believe that, He gave us the ability and the tools to get where we have gotten. Mm-hmm. And we didn't do this by ourselves. Mm-hmm. A lot of people always want to take the credit for something that they did, and they didn't really do it. Yeah. We didn't do this by ourselves. We needed help along the way. So keep that in mind, like someone helped us get where we are. And we need to reach back and help other people and just be grateful that we have what we have and stop thinking that we've arrived.
Mm-hmm. You said something very key. He said reach back and help bring someone else up. I had to think about that, and I'm going to tell you why that resonates with me, because when I was thinking about doing Destiny Talk and bringing this to the radio and just really just sharing my life and my story, I was told, hey, you shouldn't do that. Ain't nobody going to listen. Mm-hmm. Nobody's don't want to hear all that positive affirmation stuff. Don't nobody care about what's going on with you and yada, yada. All that chatter. Like you said, you're going to hear that chatter and you're going to hear negative stuff coming at you. What I had to do was step outside of my body. I had to step back and look, okay, Sherry, what are you trying to focus on? What are you trying to do? And you guys, my circle was small. It got even smaller because I had to separate myself from negative thoughts, negativity. I had to put myself in the situation where are you trying to go in your life? What are you trying to accomplish in what you are trying to do? And when I was doing my journals, and I went back to read them, I started thinking my story, my life wasn't for me. It wasn't. It was for someone else. It was God allowed me to go through things so I can share it with you. I always tell people God take care of babies and fools. And I'm going to tell y'all I wasn't no baby. And I did some foolish things. I did crazy things. And I had to learn how to own up to my mess. And the purpose of this show is to make sure that I'm not here to down you. I'm not here to be better than you. That we are here to help you. We want you to be walking your greatness just like we are walking in ours. Stay humble and make sure that you're approachable. Everybody has to accept that they're not 100% perfect. I'm not God, so I know I'm not perfect. Are you God?
No.
Are you
Absolutely
okay,
not.
so we all know that we have things that we got to get better on. And I always like to make sure that I let people know that you are important. We value you. I value you. I know Tanika values the people that come to her. I know Dion does. And Dion and I have all of us have known each other for a very long time. And I really do appreciate them coming here and having this conversation with us. Not just me, with you guys out there. And I know a lot of you have been listening to the show. And you guys, I hope you've gotten some valuable information on what we've been sharing and talking to you. Again, I want to thank all of the people who chimed in. I think it was Brian, Santrell, and I think Nicole, and was Dina. Who else was it? Marianne and Kim Bright. I really appreciate all of your guys' comments and you guys calling in and texting and telling us how you feel about things and giving your opinion, because guess what? You matter. And you may have something. I want you guys to realize you may have something out there that is helping someone else. I always say this to people: when you're having a bad day, leave that bad day at home, because your smile is going to bring somebody out. You may have saved a life just by saying hello. You may have changed the world by telling somebody I love you. I want you guys to make sure that you do that. And I also want to give another shout out to a new children's clothing line that is coming out. It's Simply Tailor Kids. You can follow them on Facebook at Simply Tailor Kids. I'm sorry, the clothing line is Simply Tailor. Follow them on Facebook, Simply Tailor Kids, and Instagram, simply.tailor.kids. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
What's a dumb way to listen to an awesome mix of urban hits?